Okay, this is the big important lesson, and these are notes that are about how to conjugate verbs. You will see the title at the top of your notes that says AR verbs, present indicative. We are in the present tense, meaning we're talking about things that people are doing and actions that are happening now. Um, the indicative part, this is present indicative, uh, let's just say that this means the regular simple present tense. Uh, the indicative is a mood, and this just means just the regular mood. We'll learn some other moods, but maybe not until the end of first year, beginning of second year. So it's nothing you have to worry about now. But learning this tense and how to work with verbs in this tense is the key. It helps you make sentences. It helps you really express yourself. You begin to have a personality in a second language. You stop being the person that says, well, but I don't speak Spanish, because now you do. Let's start out by defining some terms. A verb is an action word. A subject is the person or thing doing the action. The infinitive is the base form of any verb. It's the one that you'd find in a dictionary. In English, it would be to do something, to walk, to run. In Spanish, it ends in AR, ER, or IR. To conjugate means making changes to a verb to say when it's being done and who is doing it. In both English and Spanish, we need to conjugate verbs, conjugate, in order to match the subject so that we know who is doing them. We can't just leave them in their infinitive form. So we can't say yo hablar. In English, the endings are mostly the same, no matter what subject you're referring to. Think, for example, about the verb to talk. How would you change it in order to say that each of the people in the chart talks? I talk, you talk, she or he talks, we talk, y'all talk, they talk. In Spanish, however, each subject category requires a different ending. This is because in Spanish we don't need to use subject pronouns much of the time. The verbs must have different endings so we can understand who's doing the action. To conjugate a verb in Spanish, you begin with the infinitive. For example, hablar. Hablar, hablar. The habl, the habl, is called the stem of the verb, and it tells what the action is. The ar, is the ending of the verb, and an r on the end of the verb means to. Hablar, therefore, means to talk. If we want to change it to say who is talking, we have to conjugate the infinitive. In other words, we have to change the forms, change the endings. To conjugate a verb, we simply take off the old ending and add a new ending. Change the form. That gives us information about who is talking. We always suggest that you use the chart. And here is the chart. For hablar, you'd first remove the AR and then add a new ending that gives us information about who is talking. So for the yo form, for these regular AR verbs, you add O. So put O in the chart. So your I speak is, or I'm talking is hablo. For to, you would put as, as. For él, ella, usted, or any other third-person subject, a person or thing that you're talking about, the ending is a. For nosotros, it's amos, A-M-O-S. And also for any other first-person plural subject. So, Bill, Sam, Fred, Mary, and I. Okay, as long as it includes the person that's speaking. It's like using the we form, so that ending is amos. Vosotros, which is a you plural, a y'all form, is a with an accent, is, spelled ice, or pronounced ice. Ellos, ellas, and ustedes forms. Ustedes is another, of course, you plural. The ending is an, spelled an. So let's conjugate the verb hablar. First, you drop your ending. So fill in that blank with habl, H-A-B-L. For the yo form, put an O on it. What would that be? Hablo. Hablo. For the to form, you put as, A-S on it. So what would it be? Hablas. Remember, you're not pronouncing the H. The H is a part of the word. H-A-B-L-A-S for the to form. The L and A form, you put an A on it. So it's habla. The nosotros form, you put an amos on the end of the stem. And so it's hablamos. The vosotros form, you put an A with an accent, is, on the end of the stem. So it's habláis. For the ustedes form, you put an an on it, so it's hablan. And also for the ellos and ellas form, it ends in an. So ellos hablan, ellas hablan. So put hablan in that blank. So let's try these. I'm going to pause. Be brave. See if you can figure out how you would say the sentence. If you need to look up vocabulary, remember, don't necessarily use Google Translate. Remember that we have the Cambridge Dictionary link. There's an online bilingual dictionary. It's much better and much more reliable. Will lead you much less into silly, embarrassing, wrong translations, especially for single words. Or you can ask. So what we want you to do in this sentence is first underline the verb and then circle the subject and then translate the sentence to Spanish. So I am yelling at my brother. The verb for to yell is gritar. That's in parentheses here. The subject, of course, is I. So you want to circle that. And the verb, you want to underline am yelling. Okay. So you want to do this for each of the sentences in English. Underline the verb and circle the subject. And then you want to do a translation. So I am yelling at my brother would be yo grito, because O is the yo ending. Yo grito a mi hermano, to my brother. Now we talked about some of the this vocab in class, some of the vocab that may not be immediately obvious to you. We talked about it in class the other day, one of the recent activities we were doing. But again, you can always look it up. That's fine. The difference between looking one word up in the dictionary and looking stuff up in Google Translate is that you're not figuring out how to translate things yourself. You look up the meaning of a word. If you were writing an English paper and you needed to look up a word in the English dictionary to make sure that you were using it correctly, that you understood the word and you were using the right word, no English teacher would have a problem with that. If you were looking up whole sentences and paragraphs to see what to say about a subject, an English teacher would have a problem with that. In many cases, a school would have a problem with that. If you're thinking about going to college, you're starting a habit right now if you're doing this kind of thing. It's called plagiarizing, and to get into the habit of doing that is a very, very dangerous thing. You are risking failing courses, failing major assignments that can't be corrected or made up. Sometimes people get kicked out of school for cheating like that kind of cheating. In graduate school classes, I've been accused of plagiarism for quoting from other papers that I wrote. You can't do that. It didn't seem like that was plagiarism, but I got an F on a major paper. And it was the difference between a B and a D in that particular class. In the last round of graduate courses that I took, I took 6 courses and I got 4 A's, 1 B, and a D. And the reason I got the D is because I got an F on a paper where they said I had plagiarized from myself. So please consider this. You dance like Michael Jackson. So you dance, we'll assume that we're using the to form. Dance is bailar. So what's the to ending? It's AS, right? So tu bailas como is like, and then of course just write the name Michael Jackson. So tu bailas como Michael Jackson. Okay. Sometimes you will, from looking something up in the dictionary, the same word can mean 2 or 3 different things. Como with an accent over it is a question word. But como without an accent means like, not like I like you, but more like the way that you use it in a simile in English. So remember, that's a comparison using like or as. It's like you never did this before, for example. All right, see if you can do the rest of these. Ask whatever questions you need to. Look up in the right place the correct ones. Lose the idea that you are so clever by using Google Translate that, you're pulling something over on people, because you're seriously just messing yourself up. And let's see how you can do. Like I said, I'm the word nerd. I'm the language geek. I'm excited about the fact that you're going to be able to be speaking Spanish in whole sentences. I count on that fact for most of my students between now and that magic day 3 weeks from now when we take the final exam and this semester is over. Buena suerte.